I'm back in the Cornwall workshop for the week to do some work on some customers' vans. I've got a long wheelbase MAN TGE that you would have seen we built last year. This was our last build, and the customer took it and lived in it for 3 months, and in that time identified some areas that he wanted us to adjust and upgrade to better suit his needs. So we've got this one in, and I'm going to be doing some work to that, which I'll show you shortly. There's some sort of working out and some more discussions to be had around some of those elements, but yeah, for the time being I'm just going to pull off the dust sheets that I've got on all of the equipment. Yeah, nice to have light back in this workshop for sure. So what I'm going to do is, I've got a medium wheelbase crafter out there. I'm going to fit the awning seal to, and then we'll jump onto this piece. It's basically just a self-adhesive rubber seal. There you are. So it comes with a surface cleaner sachet, and then also this is a primer, 3M primer. So some pretty hefty old adhesive that sticks the flange to the back of the awning. And this is the medium wheelbase crafter that we built last year. And the seal will go up there. So this awning has 3 brackets, which means that it's going to have to be done in 3 sections. So I measured the first one, it's 400mm, so I'm just going to cut that. What's nice is I'll use this as a bit of a sort of trial piece really, because I think we've got more than enough. So we're done with that little Fiamma awning seal. I'll give you a quick look inside the van as well, because it is it's a lovely one. So obviously you've got the elevating roof, the rear bed which pulls out to this position here. So you've got a stainless pole that goes in that position. This bed pulls forwards. Kitchen on the offside here, 1 burner. I actually really like that too, nice and simple. Sink underneath there. Cupboards and storage all at the back there. And then underneath these two, you might have actually seen this in another video, but underneath these are folding travelling seats. Got the onwards Iroko there, it's gone super dark. Love that. Nice and simple, 50 litre fridge. Number 27. On to the big boy then. First thing I've got to do with this van, as you can see, is empty it. The customer dropped it off to us and headed overseas, and because he was living in it, had nowhere to put any of the kit. So yeah, got to shift all this up onto the mezzanine, set of skis. One of the main tasks we've been asked to perform is to lower this bed structure. So basically it was designed so that we could have bikes in this drawer, and obviously the customers used it and decided that actually being able to sit up in bed will probably be more important than storing bikes. So what we're going to do is look to lower this bed by something between sort of 120, maybe 200mm, and obviously that has implications because we've got this drawer structure which sits in the bulkhead there, and basically means you've got a drawer that pulls into the sort of habitation space. You've got the multi-plus there, you've got the main consumer box, we've got various wiring. The multi-plus is going to have to be lowered or repositioned, probably repositioned to be honest with you, because there's pipework and stuff that's not going to be able to budge. So we can probably lower the consumer box and maybe turn the multi-plus on its side. The bed actually is supported by these sort of pucks which are bolted into the steel of the van. So what we're going to do is remove this completely and then modify that bulkhead and lower all of that. This is probably going to happen later in this week, so it might not be in this video. We're going to add some more lighting because the customer found that it was quite dingy in the back here. That's obviously part of, well, it's actually one other thing you might notice about this van is it doesn't necessarily look like an onwards van, and that's because the customer opted for a painted finish, which you've only ever done once before. And you can see it's a painted finish on the kitchen and a lot of the cabinets. The dark blue, it looks awesome, but obviously it doesn't reflect natural light as nicely as the timbers that we usually fit. You can see in the back there, it's got an AC unit, and that was stipulated at the start of the sort of commission. It works really well actually. It's an Indel B unit, but the issue with that is the customers reported that it's too loud for them, which is fair enough, personal preference. So what we're going to do, we're going to add two small marine vents on this side. We've looked at all possibilities where we could fit a smaller micro hecky, maybe mushroom vents, that type of thing. But based on the customer's feedback, we've sort of come to a conclusion that two marine vents on that side will add ventilation and natural light. I'm also going to be completely removing the 90 litre water tank, which is underneath here. Let's see. There's a 90 litre water tank. It's got heat shielding that I added at the customer's request. We've also got a waste tank there as well, and all of the pipework's been insulated. But this plastic 94 litre tank, which I think comes from Wydell Plastics, is going to be removed, and the customer's commissioned a stainless steel copy in effect, and that's because the customer has really high personal standards in terms of health, and they have big reservations when it comes to plastic pipework. And obviously it becomes a really interesting conversation for us because I'm sort of torn, from the point of view of realistically building camper vans and using the sort of tried and tested parts that are out there. Bearing in mind 99% of the plumbing and pipework in here is sort of marine grade, so it's already a sort of premium product. But so I'm torn. So I've got that sort of being able to actually make it happen versus the health side of things. From a health standpoint, I think that it is a really valuable conversation. In effect, are we all just being slowly poisoned by all of the contaminants in our drinking water? And fair enough to the customer. He spent a hell of a lot of money on this vehicle. It's the biggest, most ambitious commission we ever did, and it is the last van that we built. And he has really high standards, and so obviously there's challenges that come with that because discussions take time. Obviously he has to outlay a lot more of his own budget, and it just means a lot more research and experimentation from our side. But at the moment we're exploring the possibility of replacing those flexible pipes, flexible marine grade pipes that have a sort of suspended stainless steel coil inside of them, for possibly the John Guest rigid PEX system, because any plastics that are flexible tend to have additives that then can leach out, whether that is vinyl that you might put on the walls or ceiling, or pipework, and obviously I don't really want to be poisoned slowly by the water that we drink, and it's probably something that we're going to be hearing a lot more about in the not too distant future. So that's another task that we're going to be looking at. We also, for the first time ever, fitted a Wallace diesel stove to this van. So this van has no underslung gas tank at all. That came with its own set of challenges, and unfortunately, when the customer took the van initially and took it straight over to Europe, one of the latches in the overhead cupboards, you can see there's overhead cupboards that run the length of this. So these latches are ones that we hadn't used before, and initially we suggested using the ones, the brass ones that we use in all of our conversions, because we've sort of done the R&D and we know that they work really well. But one of those latches failed, and that meant that the contents of that of the cupboard above the stove exited when the customer's driving, and it smashed the Wallace 88DU stove. When we were speccing that up, we did get advice from the supplier, a company called Coranda in the UK, and they said that Wallace have designed a unit specifically for camper vans, and that's the XC Duo. That comes with a stainless steel lift-up lid, and it also has the added feature of once you finish cooking, it blows air across the top of that cooking plate, and in effect gives you heating inside the vehicle. The customer decided against using that for aesthetic reasons. Really wanted to go for the clean black look, but obviously in the world of there's no such thing as solutions, only trade-offs. It has no type of protection. So obviously that lid was smashed. They were overseas at the time, as was I, and they ended up getting a third party to replace that hob because the glass was smashed. But what it also did is it damaged the composite worktop that we'd fitted in this van. And again, this is the first time we've used it. You might be used to seeing us fitting Iroko worktops, but this one has this really nice clean white composite worktop, that was cut out on the CNC machine. And you can see this is the Wallace XC Duo, and you might notice that it's being run in this orientation rather than widthways. Obviously it's off spec because this isn't a model that is designed for camper vans, it's designed for boats. But what ended up happening was it smashed this cooker lid, and it also then cracked the worktop as well. And then after that, the customer reported that he was having the stove was overheating, which obviously is not ideal. So this vehicle definitely had some issues, and that's one thing that I wanted to be really honest about. Is every single vehicle we've ever built has been bespoke, and bespoke comes with its own set of challenges. In effect, each one you build is a prototype, and we really discovered that with this vehicle. We, as a whole, were really happy with how it came out and how it worked, and but it was off-piste for us in terms of how it looked, how it felt layout wise. We did go through many iterations of layouts with this customer as well, so it was challenging for me, if I'm honest. I learnt a lot in the process. The customer is a super successful businessman himself, very particular. Obviously came to us with a really big budget. He actually, one of his friends, we actually built a camper van for one of his friends, and that's how he ended up hearing about us. So it was a really nice connect in that respect. But as I say, it's been a challenging project for, I'd say, all the right reasons, but also, we've encountered some issues, some teething problems that we're going to have to deal with. Some of that falls under warranty, and there are actually a few more other bits and pieces, fly nets on the back that we got from a third party that we hadn't used before. The fitting didn't turn out to be that easy or that well designed. There's some modifications to these tables that we're going to have to do so that they're just a bit more usable. And the actual base vehicle was brand new from MAN, and it's pretty much all bells and whistles. It was a cancelled order that somebody else had put in, and it's super high spec, 4x4. It just has every single added extra you could possibly go for. But yeah, over the course of this sort of next week or two, I'm going to be looking at all of these issues. And when you see onwards from the outside, and you see the Instagram post and you see the really highly polished photography and maybe some of the other YouTube videos, I don't know if it sort of honestly conveys how challenging it is to build bespoke vehicles that the customers are the testers on, and it's quite humbling, if I'm honest. And you soon realise why a lot of manufacturing they stay within set layouts and iron out the teething problems, prototype them, improve them, and get them to a point where the chance of anything failing or going wrong is minimised. And but inherently with these small spaces, there are trade-offs, and sometimes you can get caught in sort of a feedback loop that means that some things become prioritized and other things maybe either are disregarded or they are still included, but maybe they become a little bit contrived or a little bit overcomplicated. And that's a really interesting process. So I just want to be really honest about where we're at with this. And I also want to make sure that this vehicle is as enjoyable to use as possible. The customer's invested a lot of money and a lot of trust in us and in Onwards. And this is kind of separate but alongside the sort of transition phase that Onwards is going through. And I probably will speak about that in a separate video about how sort of September or October last year was sort of an unexpected chapter for Onwards, and how that came about. But for the time being, I'm just going to do a bit more clearing up in here. I need to send off an email with some more details to the customer so they can sort of make a few decisions based on some information that I've given them in terms of how much we're going to be lowering this bed. Obviously, some of this does have further cost implications for the customer too, so try and give him as much information as possible so he can weigh up those options and come to a conclusion that's going to be right for him and moving forward. But yeah, I hope I haven't bombarded you with too much information and it isn't unnecessarily sort of negative, but I think out of all of these challenges there's a lot to be learned, and I'll take that on board personally and from a business perspective. But for the time being, bit of clearing up, a few emails to send off, and then crack on. Turn it off before I disconnect it. The bed's quite a snug fit, so if I just push it up, it will wedge itself. Camera died, but I managed to get wrestle the bed structure out. So we'd usually, when we build Oroco tables, do a roundover like this. The customer asked that we put the corners on, you see like this one, and unfortunately that means that when you bump into them, they hurt more, and they're not quite as versatile when it comes to sort of turning them around. We actually made this table a lot smaller back in February, and I put the round corners on, and I'm going to do the same to this one. So I'm not going to make this one any smaller, but I'm going to put some round corners using a round corner using a template and palm router, and then we'll refinish this and re-oil this, take the lagoon base off. So with the second table, we're going to add a folding leaf to it as well. So you see, this is the sort of main table. So what I'm going to do is remove the table base, and then we're going to split it along here, just beyond the depth of the dominoes. And then we're going to put, obviously on the other side, but we're going to put two of these brass card table hinges in, fit them nicely, all flush, and then that would mean that there's a folding leaf on one side of this table, so it's a little bit easier to use as well, getting in and out of the chair. So we'll do that now. Obviously there's a few different ways you can do this, but I really like the random orbital, as long as you keep it moving. You can see if we just smooth that around and then just put that really slight bevel just on both edges, just by keeping the router square and by not letting it sort of linger in one place. So yeah, really happy with that. Obviously there's some marks on the table just from where it's been used, but you can see that bevel is just quite consistent. See, and I'll just finish that by hand, and then I'll re-oil that, and then that's that small one, the adjustments to that small one complete, and then we'll finish that bigger one. So what I'm probably going to do is make a template up on the CNC machine for these hinges. First of all, I've got to get all this crap out of the way. First world problems of having two workshops and then subleasing one of them. So bear in mind that I am not the most proficient at CAD. Obviously, I had Jake, who used to work for Onwards, who did the vast majority, if not all, of the CAD, and so yeah, you'll sort of see me get into grips with some of the basics and hopefully some of the more advanced stuff. So basically, I want to make a template, obviously, for this, so I can run the router and you can see that we run Fusion 360, so I've literally just made a rectangle and then made a pill shape inside of it, and then obviously I'm going to machine this out on the CNC machine, and that will act as our template for our router. But I'm sure for any of you out there that are very proficient in CAD, you're probably going to have a little chuckle at the fact that no, actually, well, no, not necessarily. It wasn't my role. That's exactly why I employed Jake for 3 years to be able to do that. But yeah, it's time that I bit the bullet and brought myself up to speed on CAD. Obviously, we have all of our designs in CAD stored in the cloud on Fusion 360, and although I know my way around them, being able to sort of replicate them, adjust them, and create designs from scratch is something that I'll have to advance towards. But yeah, again, just a chance to be really upfront and honest about that. And yeah, so what I'll do is I'll program that, get the G code, put it onto the CNC machine, prep the material, and we'll cut that out and make that template. So I've obviously got the wrong setting. Some reason it's wanting to start machining about 20 minutes above where I need it to be. So back to Fusion, check for all the settings, see where I'm going wrong. Maybe we're there. Maybe we are there. I had some offsets on the stock box set incorrectly, so it's still getting an error. So I think of feed height. Feed height, feed height, feed height, feed height. Set that to 2. Welcome to CAD Basics with Callum Creasy. CAD and CNC Basics with Callum Creasy. But we should be good to go now. Right, I think that's success. It's not bad. It's literally just a slight discrepancy in the radius of the actual piece, but I'm happy with that. So I did a 1 test, not quite deep enough, but that's really nice and flush now. So we lift that one out and then we'll get it done. See, that's what I'm looking for. Really clean. So that's them dry fitted. Obviously they're upside down right now, but all I did was I just filed the sides of them slightly just so I could get them nice and flat on the sides, and now they're fitting really nicely inside of that template. So what I do is I just need to take a little piece out on the corners to allow for the actual hinge part, and then we'll be able to sink these in. I'll be really happy with the result. There you go. Just got oil this side, but yeah, really happy with that. Today's been really nice for just to remember that performing simple tasks with hand tools, using the CNC, learning something in the process, being humble, being open to new experiences, not trying to project a image that may not be authentic into the world is probably the way to go. Not probably, it is the way to go. And I think I can only really speak like this because it's myself, just me in this workshop. And the danger is just to want to grow and to get bigger and better and make more money. But it's never worked for me. It's never worked for me. And the best thing that I can do is just to persevere and accept the fact that it's going to be a learning process forever. It's going to be a learning process forever. There's never going to be a perfect point. And to be thankful for this workshop and everything that we've been able to put together and accumulate, the the company was started with a real sort of humble amount of cash, and all of these tools were earned for all the projects that we've built. And it may be that after August, once these leases are up, if we don't find the right space or the right plan, that maybe I don't have a workshop anymore after August. So I really want to use this space and not take it for granted between now and then. So that's what this new set of videos is going to be about, for sure. We'll keep you updated on where the business is going to end up going. I, to be honest with you, would love to get back to the roots of how it all started. Some of you might know, might be here from following sort of the rolling home and that sort of project. I haven't owned a van for myself for a little while now, and it's an interesting one. It's an interesting thing to think about. It's so easy to complicate life, and keeping it simple and keeping focused on a set of goals that are clearly defined and having meaning in life is really important, and that's regardless of how successful or big your businesses might be, or how many followers you have, or how much kudos you get for the things that you create or the things you say. So yeah, I've modified a couple of tables today, had a Zoom call with a customer, cleaned the workshop a little bit, and that's been the day. And we'll see how the next few sort of days and weeks come together. But for now I'm gonna have a sweep up and put the lagoon bases back on these tables. And let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about these videos. And don't be afraid to get the chisels out yourself, for sure, because it's important. And see you on the next one.